Hello, this is DarkElf85 on YouTube, or HektontheMage here on PSN, and welcome back to Vampire the Masquerade, Shadows of New York. Hope everyone is doing okay. I want to apologize in advance for not having, my music loud. I don't know what it is in-game, unfortunately. So, hopefully my volume's okay. I want to apologize in advance. I meant to get, the last bit of Coteries of New York updated and have the playlist for Shadows of New York on YouTube today. But, I had to quickly try to do some other things because, folks, I have a second interview. This time it's for an adjunct position, but it is a second interview. And it's actually tomorrow. So I'm like, well, my stress for the full-time position is kind of on the side because I have another interview, and it's kind of more of a prep for the full-time position, but it's still another interview. and I feel like and when I was trying to look on the website to find information for this position, and more about the program, I really can't find anything on there. So I'm like, oh great. So I have no idea what I'm walking into tomorrow night, and I really, I look at all these websites and say, you should do this, and I'm like, well, I try and I'm not able to. And I'll see if he sends me anything more, but yeah, I saw, they're like, hey, do you want to do an interview at 8:30 in the morning CST? Or CT, CT or CST? CT, yeah, I say CST, but CT. And I'm like, yeah, sure, that's fine, yeah. I would be happy to. Then I'm like, okay, let's look. Nope. It's literally one page. Well, okay, 2 pages. But yeah, there's no. And then I was like, okay, let's try to find some other things for this college, and there really isn't. This college has many campuses. I will say it is another one in Iowa. But yeah, I'm just like, whoa, I'm getting another. This one would be over Zoom. So I was like updating Zoom or trying to update it. That was the other thing. Zoom was acting up. And then I found out the reason why. No, it wasn't Zoom. Well, it was partly. First, Zoom wanted me to authenticate because, I haven't been using Zoom in a while. And this was the desktop version on my MacBook Pro. And so I go and try to do it, and then it's like, oh yeah, you got to go to your email. And I'm like, and for some reason, Outlook wasn't loading up. And I was just like, really? I need to. I don't want to say, sure, I'll see you tomorrow over Zoom when Zoom's not working. Then I realized I could just go online to the website. But, which I did eventually. And then I had to, because Zoom wasn't updating, so I actually had to go and download the, not the Intel-based MacBook Pro. I have the Silicon chip, the Apple's version chip, the M1. So, not M2, folks, M1. M2 came out, I think, a quarter later. I don't remember how long later. But yeah, yeah, that was a thing. That was a thing. And so yeah, you all get to find out Friday what my thoughts were about it. But yeah, so we'll talk about that later. I was trying to set up. I was thinking of maybe trying to do the interviews, both of them, in my living room, because that background would be better, and of course then I wouldn't be seeing a bed. But I could still do. Ideally, it would be better if I could get my office chair over here. The problem is I have limited space, so I was like, okay, if I push back the coffee table, put this box on, like this ottoman storage box container on top of the coffee table, which could raise the height of for the laptop and computer, and that would be nice. The problem is, the office chair would be perfect for the height, but there's not enough space. Unless I change how I sit, but then I won't have the extra space for the arm. And yeah, so I might just have to sit on the sofa here with that up on it. But then I really won't be able to use the mouse easily. So yeah, I'll figure it out. If that is how it goes like that. Whatever. All right, let's start playing a game because once again, I find myself. Oh, what was the voice I gave her? It was kind of like, yeah. Once again, I find myself in Big Beat Burger. Or maybe she should have a different voice because she's been sucked. Well, she's not been sucked. She's been turned. There we go. She's been sucked and turned. Familiar surroundings, faces I recognize. Mood, same as it ever was. Oh, that's not great. Still, I process it in an entirely different way. It all frustrates me now. Or more precisely, makes me frustrated with myself. It's like I'm clinging to the remnants of a cocoon I've outgrown. Yeah, now she looks all edgy. She has her cross hanging out and whatnot and all that jazz. Yeah. Ugh. It's the same with these cigarettes. I don't need them anymore. So why do I keep holding on to them? Fucking hell. It's like I refuse to accept that I'm something better than I used to be. A vampire. Just 2 nights ago, I met Karen. Really? Karen. I mean, it could be Karen, but we're going to say Karen. She embraced me, by which I mean turned me into a kindred. She calls herself my sire and me her child. Hey, we can read them again. Oh no, but this is with her flavor text. Yeah. Child. What a sire calls his or her vampire progeny when they're being naughty. So like when an exhausted mom calls their kid by their first name. Also tends to be the go-to when somebody feels like they're out of arguments and needs to make their seniority known. Plural form is childer. The embrace. How a vampire turns a human prey into a fellow vampire, for whatever reason. Like most things, the details are a bit more gruesome than whatever romanticized images Hollywood has shoved down everyone's throats over the years. Unless you think total exsanguination, there we go, followed by the replacement of your vital bodily fluids by someone else's sounds romantic. Not really. Kindred. A term of fellowship among vampires. Thought to have been coined after an anarch uprising of some sort, but the Camarilla doesn't talk much about that. Or doesn't talk about that much. I had the much in the wrong place. Did I do sire? Yeah. Sire, the one who makes you a bloodsucker. A vampire's name for parent. Mine was Karen. Last night she taught me the basics of survival. Drinking blood, manipulating humans, bending steel, controlling shadows. I guess they bend steel. They're, what, metal bender? Or what's the type? Whatever. From one show, the Nickelodeon show. Anyway. Tonight I expect more lessons. Tonight I expected more lessons. Instead, she told me to go out and enjoy myself. What's the catch? What's the catch, I asked. To which she responded, I might kill you if you prove to be a disappointment. There are a few rules. I have to uphold the Masquerade. I can't contact anyone I knew as a human. I can't let anyone realize I'm not human anymore. I can't embrace anyone, and so on. Masquerade, the systematic secrecy of vampires built to conceal our world from humankind in order to protect us. Essentially, the Masquerade is our shield against the fear and ignorance of human beings. Make no bones about it. If the vast majority of people ever learned we exist, we would be hunted to extinction. Otherwise, I'm free to do whatever I want, but for some reason, the first thing I did was come back here. Old habits die hard. I also gotta tell my colleague, just out of politeness, that I have an interview tomorrow. And I should mention the one on Tuesday. I mean, I kind of mentioned... No, I didn't mention about when. Karen is probably watching me from somewhere even now. The way I understand it, tomorrow night she is supposed to introduce me to the Camarilla, a local society of vampires. The big boys and girls in town. The largest vampire sect I know of. Plays well with mortals, or rather, plays mortals like a fiddle. Manipulative and rigid in structure, almost feudal really. There's a prince involved, no joke. Heavily invested in maintaining the Masquerade and other so-called traditions, which helps with the two previous points. Turns out they are the ones who have been systematically ruining my life lately. All part of some secret evaluation that I barely passed. Just imagining the reach they have makes me dizzy. After they destroyed the old me that I barely cared about, Karen rebuilt me anew. On one hand, her test left some scars that will take time to heal. On the other hand, maybe I should just be grateful? I am snapped out of my thoughts by a sudden scream. Some douchebag yelling about his french fries not being salty enough. Oh, golly. Speaking of an actual Karen, Ken, whatever you want to call them. Whatever other terms they use for the male Karens. I mean, it's all entitlement. That's what it is. It's just entitled people. I don't know why we give names to people. I mean, it ruins the name for other people who are named that, or you want to use it as a name. It's sad. Really. I think this is my cue to leave. Permanently. Goodbye, BBB. Hope I never see you again. I'm destined for greater things, you see. Let's see. Retributive justice, a meathead bully, and his unfortunate victim. Probably shouldn't interfere, but what better chance could I find to test what I've become? Dance macabre. Time to swing a little more on the devil's dance floor. The club beckons. Does this indicate that I've actually done these in a previous timeline? Because I can see their faces, or is it just that's hidden? I don't know. This Tinder addict's the risks of swiping right. This Tinder addict smells like a bit of a loser, a wannabe intellectual, a perfect source of nourishment. Let's go here. Oh yeah, and if you didn't realize, and based on the symbol, if you understood, we're Lasombra. I don't think I mentioned that before because yeah, but vampires of the shadow, yeah, those are Lasombra. And some of the things with Lasombra, more modern technology doesn't really work with them. I mean, like if you're playing this as a TTRPG, there's a chance you could succeed in working it like a cell phone, but chances are it's just not going to work after a Lasombra vampire touches it, or kindred touches or uses it. So yeah. Also, that extends to like cameras. They have a blurry image. It's probably, I think it's true maybe with mirrors also, if I remember correctly. But yeah, or other type of things, like with reflections. It's blurry on them. This club reeks of death, and I love it. I've been here quite a few times, but I've never seen anything this breathtaking. Everyone around me is whacked out of their minds, and as they keep dancing madly, the spirits dance beside them. Excuse me. Spectral silhouettes phase in and out of existence, becoming more visible the more intense the music grows. It looks like a bizarre ritual, a profane mass. I notice it's the voice samples the ghosts react to the strongest. The most suggestive ones cause them to appear distorted, even tormented. That's a specter. Okay, there we go. That's what the image was. It's as if something was struggling to be born out of the harsh sounds and the dead were hoping to be reborn alongside it. So they're able to see the dead? That's interesting. Lasombra, I mean. They're all uneasy, quivering with desire for something far beyond their reach, probably the same as when they were alive. Sometimes the living dancers spot their dead counterparts. It's usually the most manic ones who notice something out of the corner of their eye for only a split second but never realize what they've glimpsed. Some apparitions dance to a completely different tune than the rest of us, one only they can hear. Those seem the saddest. The spectacle is eerie. At times, it's unbearably melancholic. Above all, it's beautiful. I keep on moving to the rhythm until I reach a trance-like state, and then something even stranger happens. Every now and then, when I brush against someone, a fragmentary vision appears before my eyes. A car burning on a freeway, an outstretched hand in the depths of the sea, a man jumping out of a skyscraper window. Memories of the past? Preventable visions of the future? I have no idea what it means, but I am strangely eager to find out. Oh yeah, this woman. This woman. Kind of remember her from my previous playthrough. And then there are dancers like her, ones that aren't ghosts, humans, or even vampires, but something else altogether. This new world is full of mysteries, and I plan to get to the bottom of them all. But for now, I just want to dance. Oh, that man. Let's do the Tinder thing, why not? He lowers his eyes awkwardly, thinking how to proceed with his rant. Some dude. So it's like, the conversation isn't really smooth, yeah? It's like I keep throwing shit against the wall and seeing what strikes, but nothing seems to stick for long. You understand, yeah? I don't know why he said yeah, not yeah. Anyway. For sure. Oh yeah, for sure. It's really this lack of context that's killing me about online dating. It's bad enough when a few photos and a single sentence are all you have to rely on when starting a conversation, yeah? But when a cosmic miracle finally happens, and she's actually willing to keep replying to you, and she's actually down to meet up eventually, and you're out there sitting with her, and after 90 minutes you still don't have that shared context, just no clue whatsoever, it's just like, take me out and put a bullet in my head, and put me out of my misery. I hear you. So, it's just one of those dates, and it's like, we've been sitting here for ages, and the only thing she has a prolonged interest in is getting as hammered as possible. Just one drink after another. And the more drunk she is, the more familiar she's getting. It's these little things, you know? Touching my upper arm after each joke, her arm around my shoulder, her jokingly punching my waist. This escalation is subtle, but steady. In addition, one recurring topic appears, and that is all the cool shit she has and wishes she could have shown me. Oh, too bad it's all back in her apartment. That's when it hits me. She just wants to fuck. Sleep with me. Yeah, when you meet someone on Tinder, this happens sometimes. Yeah, well, eventually we both ran out of ideas for topics that could potentially be interesting to the both of us. So I'm just like, yeah, I'd sure love to see all that crap in your apartment. So we Uber there, and it's, I am amazed that they use that as a verb. Anyway, I don't know. I don't use Uber. I don't use the Uber application, so I don't. Well, mainly because it's technically only in Seoul, in Korea. Yeah. I've mentioned that already, I think, before. But anyway, I'm not going to get into it. And if you're really interested, you can just look it up on, well, I don't know, do they have it in English? There's probably articles about it in English. Like, nothing too fancy, but oh no, sorry. So we Ubered there, and it's in an admittedly pretty nice apartment. Like, nothing too fancy, but I can tell her dad is the kind of asshole I'd like to punch in the face if I ever met him. Know what I mean? So she guides me to the kitchen and makes me some tea, a rare Indian blend. Forgot what it was 5 minutes later. Then she excuses herself and goes to the bedroom, and doesn't come back. 10 minutes later, I've run out of tweets to read and become a little concerned. I start looking around. The first thing that catches my eye is the kitchen table. Go on. The table is surprisingly large, and it's covered in neatly arranged documents, like some connect-the-dots investigation board, mafia conspiracy kind of thing. Naturally, I take interest. It takes me 20 seconds to process what it is. Her entire mental health history, sorted chronologically, with all the juicy stuff neatly underlined in color. And I mean entire. It's all in there. A detailed description of her fucked up household situation over the years, anxiety, ADHD, bouts of depression, suspicions of schizophrenia, severe BPD. Oh, okay, bipolar disorder. I was thinking bulimia. No. Some weird psychosexual stuff with her brother. I keep reading, and remember what I said about throwing shit against the wall and seeing what sticks? I'm dead certain that's how her shrinks went about diagnosing her. She finally comes out of the bathroom like an hour after she went in. At this point, I've read all the shit on the table 3 times, and not just the stuff she's highlighted for my convenience. And I feel like, right now, I understand her better than, like, someone who's read Crime and Punishment understands Raskolnikov. Oh my gosh. And I'm not happy about that, like, at all. You know what I mean? Uh-huh. She walks in with a cheerful, "Hi!" I respond with a slick, "All good?" She nods, does this weird finger gun thing, and chuckles. I pretend I've been doing work-related stuff on my phone the whole time. The small talk starts. A minute in, she casually picks up one of the documents on the table, and she starts doing these super obvious body language cues that are like, "Oh no, how did this get here?" I'm practically dying inside, but I put on my cool face and make it look like I'm not here. Sorry, gotta reply to my boss, yeah? He's working 24/7. Psycho motherfucker, yeah. She slowly collects all the documents, puts them away, and then nonchalantly asks me something about tame impala, while I'm feeling crushed by all the kinds of trauma I've just learned about. I don't know what that is. Anyway, the apartment starts feeling like a coffin. All of a sudden, she picks up a kitchen knife and starts playing with it with this zoned out stare. I'm fucking mortified. So, what do you think I did? You slept with her? Of course I slept with her. That's how the worst 6 months of my life began, and I couldn't even say I didn't see it coming. God, I'm such a slut. He leans back and groans while hiding his face behind his palms. I look at his neck. Every vein seems so visible and impossibly alluring. I don't think I ever looked at anyone's neck like that. I realize I feel insanely thirsty. Damn. I know. You sure took a turn. Years ago, when this rant began, it was about continental philosophy. What? Sorry? Can you say that again? He's pretty drunk. I wasn't even making him sound slurish. Wow, I feel bad. Barely able to focus on anything but his current train of thought. Just what I was hoping for. Years ago when this... never mind. Listen, it's stuff in here. I want to go out, get some fresh air. You haven't touched your drink. Oh, you noticed that. I mean, I would if I could. No more alcohol for me. What? No, this one's not mine. I mean, some dude bought it for me, but I don't want it. Here's the room with the death stare. Looking for the guy who did it, not realizing his best chance of finding him is in a mirror. Then he drinks like a half of my glass at once while looking around, as if he was hoping to prove his dominance over an unseen enemy, dear Lord. Okay, after you. While walking across a mostly empty street, he's focused on keeping upright and walking in a straight line. I'm focused on finding a spot where I can drink him up. You seem like bad news. Oh yeah? So why don't you just leave me alone? Determinism, I guess. I roll my eyes and that's when I notice it. A deep, underlit stairwell. I look around and realize there's no one around. This is my chance. I merely yank him downstairs. It's almost pitch black, but I can still see his face. He doesn't seem shocked. It's more like awkwardness. Now listen, it's not that I never wanted to do this sort of thing in public. Quite the opposite. It's just that I need a certain degree of comfort to perform at optimal levels. Oh dear Lord. Oh, shut up. Yeah, seriously. I sink my fangs inside of his neck as he whimpers and becomes silent. Finally, that's what I've been waiting for the past hour. Him to shut the fuck up. He relaxes in my arms and I relax with him. It's like all the drinks I had to deny myself until now are hitting my head all at once with no unpleasant side effects. I feel radiant. I don't want this moment to end, but it has to. I drop his body to the floor and lick the wound closed, just the way she taught me. His pulse is faint but steady. He reeks of booze. If anyone finds him, there should be no suspicions. As I walk up the stairwell, I insert a finger into my mouth and try to sense my fangs. No dice. It seems they really are retractable. Well, that's handy. That's interesting. I'm curious how that would look in a movie or TV show. Well, I mean, obviously I know what retractable means, but, you know. It's like in Buffy the Vampire Slayer and Angel and whatnot, like, it's like a vamp out. I mean, they use that phrase. So yeah. Anyway. The hunger pangs are gone. I rub my hands around my body. I feel comfortable, hopeful, happy. Can't remember the last time I enjoyed life like this. Now, let's keep this party going. Wow, what a night. I watch Times Square from above. It's beautiful. Never thought this place could make me emotional, to be honest. But here I am, feeling deeply moved. Who would have thought? That's because of the alcohol, the booze. Hello and welcome. Getting up here was surprisingly easy, all things considered. Took more thought than physical effort. Well, yeah, you're a vampire. You just probably just jumped up. I forget if the Lasombra have soaring leap. I think they do. I believe they do. Earlier tonight, I started experimenting with this body's limits. I realized I can jump over. Yep, they do. I realized I can jump over small buildings and climb steep walls with ease now, and my whole perception of space has shifted. I planned a scenic route across the rooftops. Did my best to avoid attracting attention, just as I was told. Stayed in the shadows as much as humanly possible. But you're not a human anymore. I spotted a drone from afar. For a second, I felt uneasy, but I remember what she told me. Machines won't get a clear view of me anymore. The camera footage, photos, is all glitched out or blurry. Again, because you're Lasombra. Wouldn't take it for granted if I didn't try to catch my reflection earlier on. I couldn't see my face clearly, not in the mirror, nor even in a puddle. My face was like one of Dolly's clocks. She told me to keep a low profile regardless. Someone might take note and track you down. She didn't care to elaborate, but it didn't sound encouraging. Suddenly, it hits me that I might never be able to see my own face again. Yeah, you won't. I won't even be able to take care of my looks by myself. You won't. And what about the long-term psychological effects? They suck. Well, from what I've seen in the game, or what they portrayed as like in TTRPGs. So, yeah. A knot of anxiety tightens in my stomach. Jesus. This is probably just the tip of the iceberg. What else is going to change? Calm down. Well, wait a second. These past few nights have been the best of my life. For years, I was on a downward spiral. Failing health. No future. She had failing health? Well, I guess because, like, she's making ends meet, so yeah. No future. A feeling of overwhelming powerlessness. Now, everything has been flipped upside down. A total paradigm shift. A bad ending is no longer the only option. I'm actually looking forward to tomorrow. I forgot how that feels. Well, tomorrow night, you mean. Where it used to stand at mere seconds to midnight, the doomsday clock has been effectively turned off. A cold breeze brushes my cheek. As stupid as it sounds, I choose to read it as the world telling me to chin up. I can bend anyone to my will. I'm capable of superhuman strength. I'm a master of shadows. I can do anything. Well, until someone stronger comes and blocks your path, or commands you to do something. Tomorrow night, I will be introduced to my duties. If everything goes according to plan, I'll become a New York City representative of Clan Lasombra. Clan, a vampire's family tree, specifically those sharing common blood. Imagine everyone who is your blood relative. Everyone you can picture gathered around the table at Christmas, all sharing the same strengths and afflictions. Might be harder to visualize when you come from a big family, but you're still probably only picturing a few dozen people maximum. There are hundreds of vampires in any given clan, maybe more. Bum, bum, bum. Whoever they are, whatever that means. I have no idea what to expect. I remember. And I remember your reaction after this happens. But tonight is tonight. I'm free. All my worries from a month ago feel like they belonged to someone else. Wait, finally things are looking up. Don't title drop me, game. I'm still reading. No! I think a year is supposed to pass because it was 2019, I think. I don't remember when in 2019 though, when they at the start of this game in the prologue, but oh well. March 2020. So March 2020. I don't know when cases of COVID started hitting USA because I wasn't in USA. I was here in Korea. And I do know that COVID cases in Korea started in February. Because I was a bad professor. I was a bad foreigner. No, I went to Japan. I went to Tokyo. I bought a plane ticket. I had my hotel ticket. I'm going to use it. They were booked. I don't get receipts because I buy the cheap options because come on now, they're expensive already. And so yeah, and yeah, so that, and I still remember leaving. They're saying if you've been to these countries, particularly China, you need to stop in quarantine. Then when I came back, if you've been to this, listing all these different countries, you need to go to quarantine. Also finding out that at my job, we were switching. Actually, it was before we actually switched to online teaching. It was a weird. We weren't teaching for a while, and then we did. It was awkward. You know, it was really awkward. That was the start of that with teaching online was just anyway. But I was someone who had Animal Crossing, so anyway, back at it again at Big Beef Burger. Familiar sounds, familiar smells, familiar faces. It's like Cheers, but not as cool. Yet again, I'm recalling that night when everything finally seemed to change for the better. I mean, it's not like I wasn't expecting everything to go back to the old depressing normal. Even in the thick of it, the rational part of me recognized my state as temporary. But with these highs, there's always a hope it won't end. Or maybe that an ego death will finally occur. Be satisfied, you stupid fucking bitch. I command you. Here's all the logical evidence for why you should be satisfied. Here's the obvious direction for your life. And here's a detailed explanation of how you should treat the people that care for you. No dice. I always fall back into the same old habits. It's like they were encoded deep in my DNA. The aimlessness, the powerlessness, the spiritual exhaustion, these goddamn fast food trips. Well, now at least you don't have to pay for any. Well, you might buy something. But yeah. The stupid fucking self-loathing now amplified whenever I drink somebody's blood. Maybe I should just blame it all on the misfortune of my birth. You do this social climbing until you disassociate, and then you are just this untethered, constantly frustrated ball of dumb desires. Except I'm sort of immortal right now, and I need to figure out what to do next. I watched this obscure Asian movie once, Eli Lima Sabachthani, starring Tadanobu Asano, one of the coolest guys in the world. He plays this Merzbow-like figure, a legendary noise musician. There's this mysterious virus spreading around the world, causing despair and mass suicides. A rich CEO's granddaughter gets sick and longs to die, so he spends a fortune searching for the cure. Turns out Asano and his friend, played by this violent onsen geisha guy, are traveling through Japan, searching the corpse-strewn towns and fields for any unique item that can produce beautiful sounds. As it turns out, the avant-garde walls of noise they create are able to heal the infected. The CEO begs the band to help, offering them all the money they want, but for some reason they refuse. Through a series of flashbacks, concerts, and vignettes, a mystery unfolds. Eventually, we realize that Asano's music is not just a remedy, it's also a cause of the virus. Whenever it connects with people, they get this hunger for more extreme, more novel experiences. And eventually, they hit a wall. Nothing can satisfy them anymore. They lose their will to live. Not even the musicians are spared from this curse. They know the end will come sooner or later. The girl is saved by a mind-blowing concert, but the tragedy is merely postponed, not averted. The last shot of a Jesus-like Asano silently considering his role as savior and destroyer stayed with me. The form of the film is abrasive, little to no narrative coherence, some weird cartoonish creative choices, the Japanese noise soundtrack, the very free form and hard to understand weave of themes. Is the hard to understand weave of themes just the Japanese storytelling? Because there are a lot of video games, well, certain Japanese video games. I can think of two. Well, okay, I can think of one right now, because I can't think of the other one that came to my mind at some point, but then went away. Kudelka is one of them. And then I forget the other freaking game, or if it was a movie. I forget what it was. But yeah, it's more of an Asian storytelling, because Korea is similar. Where, and like in one of my textbooks when I was teaching English writing to students, it explained it, where it's like, it's a circular spiral pattern, where you start off going in a circle, spiral, going in, until you get to the main point. And whereas when you're telling or doing writing or story or, not just narrative, but also just in general, when writing in English, you do the facts. You get the facts up front, and then you do explanation for the most part. I mean, there's some variation to that, but that's the thing. It's not like in this spiral pattern. So I'm curious if that's what she means by that. But anyway. But at this point, movies like this are all that truly connect with me. I'm the New York City representative of the Lasombra clan now, also known as the Night Clan. They are masters of shadows who cast distorted reflections and make modern tech go haywire in their presence. Ah! Need water. Hold on. I have to get another bottled water in a moment. One of the new ones that I bought today when I went grocery shopping. I had to toss out all my food. I thought I could move some of the stuff to the freezer when... I think I forgot to mention it, but last Sunday, or this past Sunday, 2 days ago, we had a power outage. Not a power outage, okay, let me rephrase that. They were doing it was a yearly or semesterly during break time, vacation time. But they do, they check the power on the electricity, like once, like during the break time, either summer or semesterly, I'm not sure offhand, but they check it, and so the power will be out, or at least it will go on and off throughout the day during the time of check. So I put everything in the freezer hoping that things would be okay, but yeah, no. Certain things after I moved them back, they didn't taste good. So I just decided to dump everything that probably needed. Okay, I didn't dump the tortillas, but I thought that was okay. But like everything else, I was just, and obviously drinks are probably fine. But, well, I didn't move the drinks to the freezer section. But yeah, everything else, I was like, I had some cream cheese, and that wasn't the greatest. So I was like, okay, we're just gonna dump the rest of everything and just F it. Yeah. Alright, that's us, the Night Clan. Other kindred call us Magisters, Abyss Mystics, or Turncoats. They want to drive home the fact that many Lasombra switched sects in recent years. Oh yeah, because they were part of, I said it in the last game, and now I'm blanking out. They were part of, whatever was the reigning sect in, New York City before the battle. In what, 99 or whatever it was, whenever it was, or earlier or later. I'm forgetting the other clan. Maybe they'll probably mention it at some point. But yeah. Let's see. The way Karen told the story, we used to be the Sabbat. There we go. I knew they were going to say. We used to be the brains behind the Sabbat, a pretty nasty group working in opposition to the Camarilla. They've since left for the Middle East for the most part, but a sizable chunk of my clan opted out and changed sides. Traditionally, we were entrenched in the Catholic Church back in Europe, but not for mystical reasons. Our path was that of corrosion and puppetry, so pulling the strings of important religious leaders was just a means to an end. I mean, that's why there's a religious crown, or a crown with, like, you know, 2 crosses in it, so yeah. The Night Clan is also borderline Darwinian in their philosophy about embracing new members. The shittiest period of my life was fully orchestrated by Karen in order to see if I was good Lasombra material. They do not care for losers who just take it lying down. Then there's the dark. I'm still coming to grips with it, but apparently shadows aren't just absences of light to us. They're openings into some kind of hell, and we can wield them or even use them to contact the dead. The downside? We share a classic vampire feature, and that we don't really have clear reflections. This also transfers to not playing well with cameras, and by extension having issues dealing with technology in general. No! Last year, a few months before I was embraced, the Lasombra had joined with the Camarilla, the biggest and most traditional sect in the vampire world. Sect. A group of vampires tied not by lineage, but by ideology. The 2 most notable examples are the Anarchs and the Camarilla. Unsurprisingly, these 2 are also in direct opposition and drifting further apart all the time. It's the cray-cray. The two groups actually used to fight each other, but our leaders found some intel that made them reconsider their strategy. So they sent a diplomatic mission to parley with their historical enemies. The deal they got in Chicago was simple: an unlife for an unlife. For every Lasombra vampire allowed in the Ivory Tower, one Lasombra vampire has to meet their ultimate end. Another name for the Camarilla, usually used in a less official, occasionally derogatory context. But yeah, that is the thing. So if you're ever playing a Lasombra in the TTRPG of Vampire the Masquerade, you know that you were born and someone else who was a Lasombra got offed. Or offed, not offed, I guess offed. Offed. I still remember the name of the woman who met her final death, so I could begin my own life. Her name was Hester Reed, a sworn enemy of the Camarilla, a guerrilla fighter who spent decades opposing them. Never mind. I'm thinking of something else. Obviously relating to the game, folks. Final death. Death for mortals is defined as the total cessation of all biological activities. But vampires, being undead, face two moments of dying. The first, when their mortal life ends, and a second, final one, when they truly cease to exist. Usually involves rapid decomposition of the body, up to and including turning to dust if you're old enough, as if time has finally caught up with you. She was someone with far better principles than mine, from what I've gathered. Well, whoever she was, her execution by my sire served to convince the NYC elites to give us Lasombra a chance. Then they set out to look for a mutually agreed upon candidate who'd become the clan's rep in the city. My sire searched for someone who gave the impression she was more than she appeared. The local court was looking for someone they could walk all over. After long negotiations, they decided I was a good compromise. It's like, what the fudge? Court, the kindred hierarchy of rule. Basically, feudalism by another name. You have a prince at the top, primogen beneath him or her, a sheriff who also answers to the prince, and so on. Matters are handled at secret sanctuaries called Elysiums. Note, this structure applies at the city level. Beyond that, the Camarilla's organization gets absurdly Byzantine. Vampire the Masquerade, countryside of Nebraska or Iowa. They proceeded to systematically destroy my entire life, just to make me show I was psychologically strong enough to join the ranks. The turncoat special, they called it. Somehow I succeeded. And eventually led me right back to where I started. I stopped writing and put my pen down. Will that be all? Yes, Miss Duval. I hope you enjoy your stay in London. Oh, I very much doubt it, I will. Just like every cultured person, I think the only good Englishman is a dead Englishman. At least you're headed there to kill some of the Duskborn you hate so much. Thinbloods. Clanless vampires whose blood is so diluted they are difficult to tell apart from humans, minus their irreversible sunlight-branded crescent moon tattoos they must bear in some domains to show their status. Thinbloods have been subject to decades of pogroms, prejudice, and discrimination, but despite that their numbers are currently growing. Their human passing appearance, coupled with their penchant for weird alchemy-style shenanigans, gives them the ability to thrive outside of kindred society. Bigotry and violence against Thinbloods are quite normalized by the kindred, to the point where it is not at all uncommon to hear of them being killed or referred to as a threat to the Masquerade. Funnily enough, the NYC Camarilla acknowledges them and even offers them membership, but they're third-class citizens at best, and the representative in the Primogen is considered the butt of jokes at best, and a slap to the face of other council members at worst. Even though they supposedly have it better in this city than in other Camarilla domains, when they step out of line, consciously or not, the verdict tends to be final death with barely a second thought. Sometimes referred to as weaklings or runoffs, less vitriolic nicknames would include young ones, chameleons, or the Duskborn. One of the benefits of being a scourge, if there's one thing this world is never in shortage of, it's loathsome runoffs who forfeited their right to live. Scourge, a very unpleasant person whose sole task is to hunt down vampires who are born wrong. Locally, that mostly means thin bloods, subordinated directly to the prince. I thought they were under the sheriff. Huh. Okay. Maybe they just usually work with the sheriffs. Usually, anyway. That would be all. Tell Kadir I said hello and farewell. Safe travels. Don't let the door hit you on the way out, psycho. Oh well. I'm the lone Lasombra in this town, and my representational role means jack shit. No title, no perks, no whatever. Right now I'm the court's gopher, doing all sorts of work nobody else will touch. My main duties? Being a sort of immigration officer. See, New York City is probably the biggest vampire travel hub in the USA, definitely the biggest one on the East Coast. Almost every kindred arriving from Africa and Europe comes through here. The local Camarilla is nuts about bureaucracy and population control, so every vampire leaving or arriving in this town is supposed to check in with me to inform me about their travels. Hit the right button, Dark. We have to get another bottle in a moment. Well, in theory at least, the VIPs play by different rules. They take care of their stuff through connections and servants. But for the smaller fish, I'm like the vampire Statue of Liberty, the first bloodsucker every kindred coming to New York or NYC should see. On paper, anyway. The first after the prince, or Kadir, the Primogen Council, these things vary. Yeah, I'm a naturally traitorous Lasombra, so they still prefer being traditional and hands-on about these things. Excuse me. The Primogen Council. The prince's advisors, usually elders, though mostly the younger so-called Ancilla, I assume it's Ancilla, in NYC, who represent the interests of the local kindred. Traditionally, each major clan, faction, or sect would be given a place on the council. What's funny is I like how she's a journalist, so she would, a reporter, so she would have all this knowledge, so yeah. It makes it good for, I like her spin on these descriptions. This framework naturally favors the Camarilla, though anyone can bring grievances to a Primogen not of their own clan. There are a few other rules governing who can become a Primogen, but recent decades have seen the old paradigms rapidly shifting. Locally, Prince Panhard asks the council's advice often, but it's no secret that she mostly uses the Primogen to confirm a course of action she's already made her mind up about. And speaking about Prince, where the buck stops, the big boss of a given domain, usually a city. These are the kindred you don't want to cross, those who have secured and held their claim against all other contenders. Prince is a gender-neutral title for vampires, hence NYC's head honcho, Helene Panhard, also calls herself that. But as I said, at the end of the day, I'm just a gopher. And this work only serves to remind me I'm not quite in, just standing at the gate. They haven't even given me an office. I just meet everyone in public places, such as coffee shops or this fast food restaurant. BBB, I said I was never coming back, but I am. Some consider this an insult and lash out at me, but luckily most of them understand we're in the same boat. Only here because we're curs who need to be reminded of our place from time to time. Speaking of, my last client is 15 minutes late, and I still have more errands to run tonight. This is getting irritating. To be honest, I should just find some self-respect and leave. But I won't. My sorry upbringing left me with this stupid sense of responsibility. Yay, Catholicism! 10 more minutes pass. Eventually, an unfamiliar woman appears by the door. She tells someone to stand by the door and walks in. Long chestnut hair, body stuck in her late teens, by the look of it. A fashionable scarf covering most of her face, elegant clothes, dignified walk. I signal her to sit in front of me, trying my best not to let my impatience show. She obliges. You're here to check in? I am Julia Sowinski. Oh no, I am sorry. Misread that. I was like, that's not your name, that's my name. I am. Julia Sowinski, I presume? She's scanning her surroundings like we're at a circus. I hope you won't mind if I make it quick. I'm needed in Elysium. Name? Elysium. A courthouse for vampires, or a designated peaceful place we can go to seek resolution. Often hidden in plain sight, in notable public buildings also used by mortals such as museums, art galleries, and landmark government offices. NYC is pretty typical in this respect, as the current Elysium is a gallery in Queens called the Art Hole. Catherine Vise. Huh. I swear I've heard that name before. Someone else's description of her crosses my mind. That weird lady who owns the art hole but is never there? Weird. So it is her, Catherine Vise, the owner of the art hole, de facto headquarters of the New York City Camarilla. For fuck's sake, Julia, what are you doing calling her weird right off the bat? God knows you're already made a fool of yourself in front of enough VIPs in this city. Recover. I'm sorry, it's just that I still don't know many people there, so I have to go by the descriptions I'm given by members of the Primogen. Well, the description is mostly correct. Outside of that, one word that slightly perplexes me. Pot calling the kettle black, sounds like. From what I gathered, it's just that your interests are rumored to be not fully aligned with the Camarillas, and it irks some folks up there. Being a keeper of the Elysium is not enough for some, I see. I suspected as much, but what can you do? Also, I don't know what voice to give her. I'm just switching it up as I go, because, lol, that's me. Okay. She seems chill. Good. Anyway, Catherine Visa. Wow. Yes, want me to spell it? People often have trouble getting it right, and I'm probably butchering it. Forgive my indiscretion, it's just that people of your stature usually don't bother checking in with me. They usually report their arrival to one of the Primogen, and they make all the arrangements. I heard Prince Panhard is busy with the preparations for her big party. I assumed that if I spare her some paperwork, she'd appreciate it as a gesture of goodwill. Besides, I wanted to meet the infamous Lasombra representative out of sheer curiosity. My interest piqued once I heard about her. She looks around knowingly. Unique circumstances. Yes, Prince Helene Panhard had troubles justifying the exorbitant rent my property would need. That's literally pennies for her. And as far as I know, she's been sitting on an empty property since last year. Looks like they've got it out for you. Bad. That's what I assumed, but it's nice to get a confirmation. Well, it's not like my clan has ever been particularly popular in these parts. At least that's what I've heard. sins of the fathers and so on. Yes, just to make sure, you've never met Hester, but you know of her? I do know I won't be here if not for her. Have you two met? No, I only heard of her once or twice. We had similar outlooks on many issues, although we tended to come up with completely different solutions. In any case, I think it's meaningful that Hester died so that you could live. They feared her. Now they fear you, and that's why they're keeping you down. If anyone who's not a VIP said this to me, I'd laugh in their face. Oh, I get what she's doing. She's trying to buy my favors. But not to act like I'm easy to please. Stick to business. Time will tell. In the meantime, I'll need you to help me out with my documentation. Of course. So where are you coming from? Washington, D.C. She says it the way people in Hollywood movies say it, the way that suggests her Washington is wildly different from the Washington you and I would see. What? Actually saying D.C. because Washington is a state? Sorry, my sister is... Well, no, she lived there. And she was like, no one says Washington. I'm like, I don't know anyone who would call it Washington other than idiotic newspapers because they're saying that's more prominent than what it actually is. There is a District of Columbia at the end of it because it's not just Washington. It bothers me. Like, there's a DC at the end. There is a reason for it. There is a difference. When I say Washington, I mean the state, if it's not a town or a city, you know what I mean, or a person's name or whatever. But I'm meaning the state, because there is no ending after Washington for the state. What were you doing there? Take a guess. Government work? Write that down. It ought to amuse Helene a little bit. If you say so. Date and hour of arrival? She takes out a plane ticket and slides it towards me. Was that a sound effect? Ooh, it's cool. It's all here. 1 a.m. Got it. Method of transit? Plane. Purpose of visit? Meeting with Prince. Ought to work just fine. I guess. Estimated duration of visit? Undefined. Write in 6 months if you really need to. Place of accommodation? Conditions of intended stay? The art hole. Conditions should be adequate. You tell me. I tend to be happy with Airbnb. Home sweet home? I'm not certain that I ever felt particularly at home here. That makes two of us. Curious, do you have nothing holding you here? The face of a blonde-haired friend appears in my mind's eye, then vanishes. There's nothing holding me anywhere. I see. A prolonged silence. She stares into my eyes, and I return the stare. She's studying me. It's unnerving, but I do my best not to turn away. Eventually, she smiles. Didn't you say you were short on time? Oh God, yes. Kadir will kill me. Quickly began to collect my stuff from underneath the table. Okay, I'm gonna have to do a pause, folks. I need more water. And brush my teeth now. I might do it later, but I do need to use the restroom. So I'll be right back, folks. No. Jeez. I swear. Cords. Is my controller charged? Yes, it is. I can take one of these cords off. I wonder if there is like a USB. Sorry, I had to take a sip of water when I said that. I wonder if there is some sort of USB plug-in for a microphone. I mean, there probably are. A little. Well, I don't know if there's if it was a US. No, what am I thinking? USB. There wouldn't be a wireless cord unless it's USB. That's rephrase that. Because it'd be Bluetooth, not something that you would plug into like the end of a corded one that's not USB. Whatever this is, you know, like the splitter cord. That's not USB, but jack, 3mm or whatever it is, or 2.5, whatever the size is. But tomorrow is my last doctor's appointment in Korea. Well, not counting my counselor. My counselor is my very last. That will be on the 25th. I saw him today, and the 25th is the last one. But for a medication. This time it will be for my anti-anxiety and anti-depression medicine. And hopefully I can get enough. Excuse me, that's a somewhat decent amount, just in case, you know, I don't hear anything positive from the next things. At least the 2 interviews. Until I can get something in the USA. And then after that, I'm going to go to the office, because that appointment's at 11 a.m. And I hope it won't take forever. I'm sorry. Oh yeah, it is at 11 a.m. I'm thinking of the wrong hospital. I was thinking of one, and that was the last one from last month. It's the Chosundae Hokkyo one. And hopefully that won't take forever. At least that one I know I would guarantee a taxi back. That's nice, because they have a taxi stand. That is the reason why I have my appointment during the day, because I know it's busy. If it's towards the evening, it is not busy, and that sucks. But yeah. But then I'm going to go to the office. Hopefully I remember to say my office building and not my apartment building. Because I want to do more cleaning. I mean, I'm going to do it's not finished. But ideally, it will be done early next week. Because I need to get the stuff to my one colleague who's going to be leaving by the end of next week. So, yeah. Otherwise, I won't have anything for cleaning. I gotta move stuff and clean stuff in there. And I gotta finish cleaning stuff for the same colleague from my stuff in my apartment. I've got 3 more drawers ready for her. She wanted some storage units, but I have some stuff on top of that, and I gotta get the stuff out of there and toss in there. I have to figure out where I'm gonna put them. I'm gonna have to clear out those other drawers and just get rid of them too. And then I could probably vacuum that space up and then put my luggage cases there, and I can start storing shit in the luggage cases that I need. Because I'm running out of space for things and I don't have storage units anymore. Those are all going to be tossed out the last week, but then I'm like, oh yeah, I have to give things away to people. That I said I would. Yeah. Alright. I think I read that, and if not, you've read it because it's been there for like 5 minutes probably. You can simply inform him I paid you a visit. He'll understand, and he'll pass it on to everyone who should be in the know. Do you need anything else? I'm fine. I was about to ask you that myself. You're the one asking questions here. That's all for me. Good. We will see each other again, or we'll see each other soon, I hope. The party tomorrow night? I, wasn't invited. She gives me a pitying look. I understand. Well, if not given the opportunity, we should make our own. I'll be in touch. Good night, Ms. Vise. I wish you a pleasant stay. Good night, and don't rush these things. You've got your whole unlife ahead of you, and you're in a position where you can take it easy. Take your time. Get a different perspective. I nod and walk slowly out the door. When I lose sight of the restaurant, I sprint toward the subway. Slow night. Oh yeah, I forgot. They changed him. He looks younger. I mean, I don't know why. I mean, he's still just as hot, don't get me wrong. But I liked his look before in the first game. He looks younger. It's weird. It's like, he looks like he's in his 20s here versus in his 30s or 40s in the previous game. It's the clothes. That's basically it. I wish. You're late again, by the way. I hope you have a good excuse. Kadir al-Asmay, the mighty sheriff of New York City, is not happy with me. No wonder. I met him in front of Elysium 30 minutes later than the time we had agreed on. Sheriff, an appointed officer who enforces the prince's edicts, and if Kadir is any measure, a real stick in the mud. A sheriff hunts down traitors and violators of the traditions. Only the greatest offenders are typically apprehended and brought back to be judged in front of an assembled court. In lesser cases, sheriffs act as judge, jury, and executioner. And I would assume that they would need to be an elder of some rapport or of age, some older vampire, maybe not older, but at least someone older with more power and experience. But as we saw with Vampire the Masquerade, LA by Night, at least supposedly, that's not always the case, which is interesting. Although in one of the cases, it makes, well, actually, we don't know. Actually, no. We don't know exactly how long it was before they were, well, anyway, whatever. You can watch it. I actually got to get caught up with Critical Role. I haven't finished Vox Machina. I'm like towards the end, like the last maybe, is it 10 or 15 episodes? I forget of that. I haven't even gotten to the Mighty Nine, and of course not even the current season and whatever other ones in between. Maybe I'll get Amazon Prime in the US so I can finish watching The Legend of Vox Machina and obviously the Wheel of Time series, even though I don't remember the first, like, 12 books. And, well, I'm sorry, there's 14. So the first 10 books. And the fact that they screwed up Kieran. Not because of whatever diversity casting, that's fine, whatever, you can do it. I mean, the art depiction on some of the books is just the artist rendition, and I don't know if it's from Robert Jordan, but like, the backstory to Kieran is what I'm talking about. I don't like that they changed it. But it is what it is. You can't really control things like that. But it is interesting to watch The Legend of Vox Machina, and even though it's been a while, remembering the Critical Role, just seeing the sessions off of YouTube of the sessions that are featured in those videos and how it's different because this is a cartoon show. Well, no, it's cartoon, but I mean it's serious matter. I mean it's adult humor, but watching it as a show versus a tabletop RPG show, or at least a tabletop, playthrough, game playthrough. Okay. Yeah, well, Catherine fucking Vise decided to arrive fashionably late. Unlikely story. She's supposed to be out of the city. If you think I'm pulling your leg, boss, feel free to check my report. I pass him all of the official papers, the way I do every other night. Kadir stares me down for a good few seconds, then his steely gaze softens. You're serious, Visa in McDonald's, with a mask and elegant clothes, surrounded by the smell of French fries and hamburger patties. Okay, I guess it was McDonald's and the other place. They just used the same background drop. That must have been one hell of a sight. Technically, okay, yeah, that's right. Technically, it was BBB, not McDonald's, but yeah. God, I made such a fool of myself. First thing I did, I quoted someone calling her a weirdo. I wanted to die on the spot. Serves you right, you walking faux pas. I've been trying to teach you to control your tongue, but you never learn. It's a new gaffe every week with you. Still, there's good news and bad news. Okay, he's still hot. God damn it. Okay, anywho. The good news is, Catherine has a fondness for vampires of humble beginnings. It was beginnings, not beginnings. Well, there's a typo. That's why I thought it was beginning, because there's literally beginnings. I don't think there's a begging. I think it is a typo. Beginnings. Probably why she decided to see you in your, shall we say, natural habitat. She's one of those rich art scene assholes who seek out working class cred. I did say something about watching your tongue. The bad news is she is very astute, so she can recognize a moron like you straight away. You never stood a chance at impressing her. Oh, shut up. You still need me for anything here? I'll get on it straight away. I wouldn't be standing out here chatting with you if I hadn't taken care of my duties. 30 minutes is all it took to finish preparations for the big party. I'm about to see everyone off. Sorry. Couldn't be helped, I suppose, and it's more your loss than mine. I just wanted some company tonight, and you could really use the chance to appear here on official duties so everyone can get to know your face. Heaven knows your fast food job isn't going to get you anywhere. You need to, what do they call it, hustle? You didn't need to tell me that, but it's not like being paraded around for a bunch of blue-blooded douchebags is. He somehow manages to give me a painful nudge in the back without so much as a hint of visible movement. Language, you fool, they're coming out. Just stand here in silence for 5 minutes and focus on not embarrassing yourself any further, will you? Got it. The first two silhouettes appear in the doorway of the art hole. An old man in a wheelchair pushed forward by his young servant. Haven't seen either of them before. And we don't see the younger guy's face. Actually, I forget if we do later. Mr. Payne, the night is still young. Hope you find the rest of it pleasant. Payne, the wheelchair. I've heard about him. Addison Payne, one of the American Camarilla's main connections to the government and Wall Street. Disabled in quite a few ways, needs a servant to communicate. I'd be full of resentment if I was embraced in this condition, but apparently Payne is nothing but grateful for his immortality. He keeps writing fervent defenses of the traditions and Camarilla customs. He may be in certain condition, but he's immortal. I think when he speaks, I think they actually show the face of the servant, the young servant. I think. I could be wrong. We'll find out in a moment, folks. But yeah, it makes me wonder, based on different background and lore and myths and whatever, for the different types of vampire movies and games and whatnot. Like, if you're in a certain medical condition and you get turned, do you stay in that medical condition? Do you get a different medical condition? Does it get cured? It makes me wonder. I think it all depends on the background, but yeah, I don't know. Clearly, in this case, in the TTR, in Vampire the Masquerade, it doesn't go away. So now I'm thinking about if I were turned, with how I feel now. Oh my gosh, would I never be able to lose weight if I got turned? Oh, that would be annoying. I'm really hoping I can actually focus on losing, well, I say focus on losing weight after, you know, maybe half a year of either getting into a position and getting used to it if I have a job or finding a job. One or the other. But yeah, anywho. I don't know if I should say anything. I'll just say goodnight. Good night, Mr. Payne. He wordlessly shakes Kadir's hand, but doesn't even deign to acknowledge me. At least his servant gives me a small bow. I return it. They leave. It's not like you're going to be recognized. I mean, you're new. You're also Lasombra. Well, you're Lasombra and you're new. Let's rephrase that. You're not going to be recognized. Kadir turns to the next person leaving. High Regent. High Regent. Can't wait to see you in your outfit. Spare me, Sheriff. These fancy dress parties cause me enough suffering without your help. I can only hope you haven't conspired with Helene to embarrass me with this gift. She points to a shrink-wrapped set of clothes she's carrying inside her coat. Kadir smirks briefly. I didn't have to. As you well know, Prince Panhard displays a considerable foresight in the matters of party planning. Yes, if there's one thing she's deathly serious about, it's frivolities. Also, she's probably supposed to have an Irish accent, and I'm not doing it. It's bad enough that I attempted to do one for that guy. Oh, speaking of that guy. Well, anyway, we'll find out later, folks. Maybe not tonight. Although maybe, we still got about like half an hour-ish to go, unless I end early because of my throat. And I wanted to make sure I have a voice for tomorrow. I mean, I will have a voice for tomorrow, but you know what I mean. A recognizable mortal quality, especially for a prince. We ought to celebrate it, not oppose it. Don't worry, Sheriff. I'm a big girl who knows her etiquette. I will play your game, amuse the crowd a little bit, and return to my study as fast as possible. Aisling Sturbridge, High Regent of the Chantry of the Five Boroughs, a hero of the Battle of New York. The biggest warlock in town. Could be a prince herself if she didn't have her eyes on a bigger prize. Clan Tremere. Named after the 8th century hermetic mage whose followers, for a brief period, terrorized the world, the members of Clan Tremere today are only able to practice their reality-bending thaumaturgic arts after consuming fresh blood. This is because the Tremere of old fucked up in their relentless pursuit of immortality and were condemned. Let's see. They have recently fallen into a great schism of competing houses, all vying for the title of rightful heir to their namesake's legacy. All about that rare ancient artifact life. Nicknames include warlocks, hermetics, or transgressors. Regent. The principals at the schoolhouses of the Tremere, also known as chantries. Every chantry has a regent who oversees the education of all the Tremere in attendance there. Regents may also hold positions on the Primaging Council and be active in the clan's strategic defenses. Chantry. Excuse me. Where the Tremere hang out. A lot of crusty books and smoking beakers type of place, I imagine. No, it's just a New Realities. I don't know if many people know a New Realities store. That's the name of like a New Age type store. Well, I don't know if that's still around in Omaha. I don't know. Anyway. The thing is, nobody knows what that price is. They only know it has something to do with the goal for thaumaturgical research. Whoever tried to find out what it is failed violently. Oh, I'm sure you're going to have fun. Miss Sowinski here has just informed me Catherine Vise is back in town. It is safe to assume she will join our festivities. You're kidding me. It's not safe to assume. It's certain. She told me she will be here tomorrow night. It's not safe to assume. It's certain. Vise. Excellent. I'd love to catch up with her. The barely concealed venom in her voice clearly suggests that, in fact, she'd hate to catch up with her. Yes, it looks like tomorrow night will be very special. But for now, I bid you adieu. And she's gone. Is there some kind of story between Aisling and Vise that I should be aware of? You could say that. High Regent Sturbridge once attempted to call for a blood hunt on Vise. The blood hunt. A punishment sentencing a vampire to final death at the fangs of their peers. The code of the kindred and the system for punishing transgression is the law of retaliation. Wow, why? I've heard 5 different versions of the story, and all of them seem plausible. Catherine's relationship with the city is odd, to say the least, but hush for now. He's obviously trying to kill the conversation, and the appearance of Thomas Arturo gives him a perfect way out. Mr. Arturo. Ah, Alice May. Keep up the good work, eh? Of course. Thomas Arturo, an architect by trade. He's a herald. That's the official term, herald. Harpy. A member of Prince Panhard's inner circle. An eccentric whose thoughts seem to be 10 times faster than his words. Well, it's because he's Malkavian. Harpy. They have the other term. A kindred gossip master extraordinaire will often trade their wisdom for favors or political gain. While harpy originated as an insult, some have taken the term back and wear it as a badge of pride. After all, who doesn't need a friend who has dirt on everyone? Especially yourself. Good night, Mr. Arturo. Ah, yes. He disappears into the night. Well, that was brief. Maybe I should stand in their way. That might force them to properly acknowledge my existence. Julia, stop it! You severely underestimate their dedication to ignoring whelps like you. Whelp, not much different than that archaic human usage. Whelp is how you refer to your kid when they're fucking up. Kadir loves to use it to put me down from time to time. And just in case you're serious, I beg of you, don't. I've been meaning to ask you this for a while now, but I never had the opportunity. You really hate Arturo's guts, don't you? He carefully measures his diplomatic response. I have no strong feelings about Thomas Arturo whatsoever. Yeah, well, considering you're always listing positives about every local Camarilla representative under the moon, you might as well have called him a cunt. Language, whelp. And as for Arturo, I will share my opinion about him as soon as I come up with one that sticks for more than a week. Oh gosh, that in and of itself says a lot. A group of kindred emerges from the art hole, rushing towards the street. Only a noble-looking woman stops next to us. She's wearing a I totally butchered that. Hijab. I don't know why I said hajib. What the fudge? Hijab, but curiously enough, doesn't hide her hair beneath it. Primogen. If you were rude enough to stare, you'd quickly notice the cloth serves mostly to cover up horrifying scars. Oh yeah, it's because, okay, yeah, I forgot. They changed her artwork because they had a different, I think, of Samira in the last game, I think. But yeah, I believe she's Nosferatu. Is she Nosferatu too? I don't remember. We'll find out in a moment. Kadir. Oh, and young Julia. I'm doing my best not to stare because Samira is one of the few NYC Camarilla figures who hasn't been an asshole to me yet. Still here. Did the prince require the Clan of the Hunt's counsel in some matter? No, it's one of the other clans I don't think I've seen anyone play in World of Darkness, or on their channel. Clan Banu Hakim. I think they've had some guest characters who were in the clan, but I don't think anyone actually was in the clan yet. The Banu Hakim, called Assamites in the past, but that's basically a slur at this point. are a new addition to the Camarilla, only having joined a few years ago. Before that, they were independent from both the Cam and the Anarchs, and they were used as assassins for hire. Supposed to be very good at that job too. Nowadays, it looks to me like they've rebranded themselves as keepers of the law, which still gives them their occasional chance to hunt somebody down, but no longer for payment in blood, as used to be the tradition, or at least not overtly. The one member of the clan that I know well, Samira, is pretty cagey about this aspect of the Banu Hakim, but I've learned from a few other sources that members of the clan have a bit of a drinking problem. Once they taste another kindred's blood, they find it hard to stop. Their inclusion in the Camarilla seems to have stirred some discontent among the Tremere, as the lawmen also use a form of blood sorcery to boost their abilities and observe different rituals, some of them clearly religiously motivated, owing in no small part to the fact that the clan had been traditionally tied to Islam in the Middle East in general. Yeah, it's basically racism when it comes down to it. But yeah, I digress. Yes, I advise her that no matter how hard she tries, she shouldn't expect me to wear a different costume tomorrow night. She's the Banu Hakim Primogen. Just like the Lasombra, their clan was independent from the Camarilla until relatively recently. However, they negotiated a better deal than we did. They have a Primogen for one. Hailing from the Middle East, the Banu Hakim are drawn to the practice of justice. The rules must be upheld, and every transgression punished. They don't have much say in NYC, but the prince often seeks their judgment. It's just good PR. I trust she was understanding. Those are beautiful clothes. Thank you so much. I'm eager to see the outfit you came up with. And how are you, Julia? Have you seen any lights at the end of the tunnel? Have I seen one? I'll say it. God! Okay. Yeah, and I'm pretty sure it's a train. Sorry to hear that. I trust you're pestering the prince and your superiors to improve your standing. It's a process. Oh, Julia. You won't achieve anything if you don't keep reaching for it. Kadir, weren't you supposed to teach her the ropes? I'm trying to, Primogen, but with this child, it's always a process. I can only wish you good luck then. Good night, Julia. Good night, Kadir. Good night. Oh, I didn't realize, but I didn't realize that she had a different sprite. I feel bad that I didn't read it properly. I forgot that she does have different sprites. Which is nice. It's a change. I don't know if the others do, but it's nice that at least the main character does. Have a safe trip. The art hall has to be almost empty by now. You like her, don't you? Stop with your cloud act, whelp. It only serves to reveal deep insecurities. Wow, that's harsh. It's factual. Were I as harsh as you claim? She did tell us both to call her Samira, but you're still keeping your distance with that Primogen shit. Watch your profanity, and don't project your fantasies onto me. I won't give you a lesson about professional boundaries, but I suspect the way you will eventually learn it will be extremely unpleasant. He's the douchebag. He's the one, wasn't he the one that basically screwed her over, right? Pretty sure. Carter Vander Vaden. Am I interrupting something, good folks? I don't know what voice to give him. Even though I'm constantly pestering him, Kadir's composure is unshaken. His response comes swift and unfazed. Not at all, Mr. Vander Waden. Heading back to your office. Meow! You know me, my dear sheriff. Where else would I go? he just looks like a psycho because that shadow. I'm thinking I believe he's Malkavian. Yes, because I think he's was. I don't know for sure about that. But yeah, I'm thinking of something else from the first game that we didn't get to see because I screwed up with Hope's line or story. But yeah, I think he's Malkavian. But I could be wrong. I could be completely wrong. Oh yeah, I'm right. Okay. Am I gonna burp again? Excuse me. There I go. I did. Now that's curious. Even though Carter Vanderweyden is a Primogen as well, Malkavian to be precise, I don't hear Kadir address him as such. Well, yeah, because he's not going to just slit his throat for justice. No, I don't know. Hope to see you tomorrow night. Oh, I will absolutely show up, provided I can. But just in case, I already apologize for not making it to the prince. Simply drowning in work these days. The rhythms, tempo, and intonation patterns of his voice are so familiar. Oh, half of it sounds like JFK, the other half exactly like Barack Obama. Well, I did. So his split personality is JFK and Barack Obama. I cannot do that. I'm not doing that, folks. It'd be great if I could. I'm not a great voice actor. But yeah, no. Just like his appearance, it all feels so fake. I mean, yeah. But he also looks like a psycho killer. He's old money, of course. Comes from a long line of Dutch merchants who originally settled in the New York region. Runs a wildly successful law office, rubs elbows with elites of both kindred and kind varieties alike. Okay, maybe he's not the one. No, it wasn't Carter. It was someone else. Yeah. A derogatory word for vampires to refer to mortals. Comes from kindred and kind. Just remember that kind rhymes with swine, and you will get the picture. He seems perfect in every way, and that's why he's so unnerving. He's a child of Malkov and must be blighted with some affliction, but whatever it is, he doesn't let it show. Hard not to wonder what he's hiding. The celebrations are planned to last all week. Surely you will find the time. I pray I will, my good man. I pray I will. In case you need to reach me, you know where to find me. Have a good one. He doesn't even register my presence before leaving. Sometimes I think they're all just hoping I will simply go away. As Carter drives away in his limousine, Kadir shakes his head. You wanted to hear about which member of New York City's Camarilla I dislike the most? Yes. He shoots me a knowing glance and smirks. Too bad. They're all my dear colleagues, and I deeply respect every single one of them. Oh, shut the fuck up, Kadir. You sexy, sexy man, you. Sure you do. When I want to blurt out something that could lock you out of Mr. Vanderweyden's legal services, would you, you ass-kisser? I do expect to find myself in need of a good defense attorney when my broke, incompetent, and foul-mouthed assistant finally pushes me over the edge. Rude. Do you still need me here? I still need to swing by St. Patrick's tonight. Don't worry, we're almost done. The prince is coming out. The captain is the last person to leave the ship, huh? And there she is, Helene Panhard, the big kahuna, as someone I once knew would call her, the de facto ruler of New York City and a self-proclaimed patron of the arts. Kadir, a penny for your thoughts. You should be pleased to hear the High Regent is resigned to her fate, my prince. Mr. Vanderweyden is decidedly not. I suspect he will be too busy to join the festivities all the week through. Excellent. She turns to me. Miss Sowinski, weren't you supposed to accompany our good chef in his duties tonight? There was an unexpected change of plans. Catherine Avise is back in the city. Catherine is here. Now that's a welcome surprise. But what does it have to do with you, Miss Sowinski? She said she didn't want to trouble you with all the paperwork regarding her arrival. Prince Panhard. It's all been taken care of. Kadir has already been informed of everything. That's certainly a nice gesture, but... Wait a minute now. Where exactly did you meet her? In a fast food restaurant, my prince. I see. Helene rubs her eyes. Catherine in her love for proletarian amusement. I suppose it will be a source of amusing anecdotes this week. If we want to avoid these situations in the future, it might be a good time to discuss offering Miss Sowinski an office of her own. We'll get to it eventually. There are more pressing matters at hand. The festivities start tomorrow, and there's still so much to be done. Will you make sure the art hall is secure before leaving? Certainly, my prince. Have a good night. Good night, Kadir. Good night, Miss Sowinski. We'll talk about your work soon. Don't worry. Don't worry. Of course. Good night, Prince Panhard. A chauffeur escorts her to a limo. I just want to say limousine. I want to say the full word. There's an awkward silence between me and Kadir until the car disappears around the corner. More pressing matters, huh? A penny for your thoughts, Sheriff. I'm certain an image of a keeper of the Elysium stuck in a fast food restaurant will linger in Prince Panhard's mind. You're far closer to your goal than you were a few minutes ago. Yes, because, and that's probably why she did it too. Why Catherine did it. Yeah. I'm pretty sure I've heard you say something to that effect a few times now. And I stand by my words. Rome wasn't built in a day, Julia. As a Camarilla loyalist, don't you think it sucks that the Ivory Tower is so hell-bent on showing disrespect to my clan they're actually willing to make fools of themselves in the process? We've all had to endure our own hazing rituals. But yes, the current situation is not ideal. Whatever. You need a hand closing up the Elysium? I'll manage. It's getting late. Better run. Some shadow in Chicago is probably impatient to get a copy of the report you've given me. You've pleased one master, now it's time to please the other. Oh yeah, that's why she goes to St. Patrick's. Derp, 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 derp. Yeah, here's the thing about working for two masters. Neither of them really thinks of you as their own. Not knowing how to reply, Kadir shrugs. I wave to him goodbye and head for the subway. Yep, we saw this in the last game, folks. And guess who we're going to meet here? That kind of ended without any more discussion about him. And yeah, like I said before, Benoit has changed. Okay. When I reach St. Patrick's Cathedral, I'm greeted by a voice that grates on me like teeth on tinfoil. Yeah, here he is! See? Gosh. Well. The prodigal daughter returns. Oh my God, no. This is the one thing I didn't want to happen. I love their interactions. I love it. Julia, please, thou shalt not take the name of the Lord thy God in vain. Uh-huh. Where's Father Leonard? His clergy duties keep him from getting here on time. He sent me to apologize in his name and keep you company for a few minutes. And if I could do a French accent, I would, but nope. Excuse me. That's the second time he ought to apologize for. The second thing he ought to apologize for. God. He just wants his flock to live in unity. I am more than willing to oblige him. Why won't you? For the last time, I'm not a part of his flock. We have a purely professional arrangement. I know you see it that way. The Knight clan's tendency to stick close to the Catholic Church is their greatest virtue, but they still consider this relationship purely instrumental. This is why we need kindred like you to bring the spiritual change to your clan, to make them understand God's precious gifts. The closer they'd get to the light, the greater their shadows would become. Yeah, he still hasn't changed this kind of outlook view. He's just not as emo about it now. He's more hipster. Again with his insufferable sermonizing. Benoit Segal here is a local nutjob and an ex-artist. A degenerate who has some sort of complex mental breakdown in the 90s. To recover, he took to religion for solace and guidance. Clan Toreador, the most artistic of the kindred. The Toreador draw their ranks from the creative class, ranging from painters to digital content creators. The Clan of the Rose boasts many former famous actors, singers, writers, dancers, and even lauded sex workers. The goal is, of course, only to fill the Toreador clan with the best of the best, but its shallow fixation on youth and beauty has caused many hasty decisions. Probably more one-hit wonders under their roof than they care to admit. Also, plenty of insufferable divas and influencers. Kadir's one of them, but surprisingly, he doesn't show many of their regular traits. Maybe other than keeping himself impeccably slick at all times. That's why he's one sexy mofo. So is Benoit after a fashion, but don't let him hear me. Don't tell him that I said that about him. At first, he proclaimed his readiness to devote the rest of his own life to studying Nodism. After a few years, though, he changed his mind and joined the Catholic Church instead. Nodism, the religious beliefs and studies pertaining to the origins of kindred, and the myth of Cain, the alleged OG vampire. She said that. I forgot she said that. As luck would have it, his neophyte's zeal found a major target in me. When I first met him, I was stupid enough to tell him I was raised Catholic and still identified as such. Somewhat. He immediately pictured me as some sort of a force for change within the Camarilla and set out to put me back on the righteous path. Now he won't stop preaching to me apparently until I become a nun. Remember, the darkest place is directly beneath the candle. You turncoats have this unfortunate predisposition to find salvation right within your grasp, and then lose your way in the shadows. Christ, once he starts, he just won't stop. I guess it's time to bring out the big guns. By the way, I was meaning to ask, got any news about Sophie Langley? A painful grimace crosses his face, but doesn't linger. Kind of rude to change the subject, you know. Rude. I'm just looking for a topic both sides of this conversation would care about. You know, like any guide on etiquette says you should. Salvation is a topic close to anyone's heart, whether they admit it or not, and it's pretty bold of you to assume I still care about Langley. I do not assume. I'm certain you do. The second she retires from the public eye, you stop acting like Jesus-era Kanye, and start acting like Jesus is King-era Kanye. Coincidence? I've never had a Jesus era. Do people really call it that? I have no idea, because I don't really care about Kanye West. This is Kanye West, right? I mean, that's the only Kanye I know. Well, I know. You know what I mean. Here's how it's going to work. To tell me what you know, I'll tell you what they say. And keep in mind, I didn't know she was your sire until a few nights ago. Hell, I haven't even met her. That's because she's dead. Talk with Arturo about that. He winces a bit at me saying hell, but lets it go. Sure, I figure you would have prodded that wound long ago, if you knew. But what do you care anyway? She's an investigator. Better to let your drone on about your tormented past than to let you carry on with your good missionary shtick. I mean, there's that too. Professional curiosity. Once a journalist, always a journalist, see? He scratches his head, then exhales in a sad mockery of a chuckle. Fine, then. I'll do my best to make it short. Just like you said, Sophie Langley, every New York kindred's beloved socialite, was my sire. We first met some time after World War II. I left France. Okay, so he is legit French. He's not... Not that I'm saying you're not French if you're from Quebec. But you're French Canadian. It's not French, but you know, it's... You have longer roots. Roots that go in different directions. That's what I left France. Hate male photography. Okay, no. I left France right before the Nazis went around the Maginot Line. No. I struggled to keep my siblings alive with my art. Watched my brother die during the flu epidemic of '43. I was close to losing my mind. That's when she showed up. Said the sheer torment in my works caught her eye. She became my patron, allowed my talents to flourish, and supported me financially. Eventually, she embraced me. As a well-off kindred, my artistic interests started to naturally deviate from what they used to be back when I was a poor mortal upstart. I began to see the world the way her social circle does, and that she couldn't forgive. Instead of being a fun novelty, I became just another part of the malaise around her. She grew distant and then stopped seeing me altogether. I've had my share of meltdowns because of this, I won't deny that. I locked myself out of many career opportunities, but it was an important lesson. Don't trust your elders. Vampirism affects them psychologically as well. If they take interest in you, they won't stop until they suck your soul dry and then discard you like a broken toy. Elder, a few centuries of unlife will net you this big kindred milestone. An elder is only considered an elder after outlasting his or her fellow vampires for roughly 200 years. By then, they will have learned the rules of the great meta game of Jihad, the vast hidden war waged for ages between the ancient undead. Elders are the chess masters. The rest of us are only the pieces, yada yada. For the first time since I've known him, Segal registers to me as something other than a Bible-thumping nuisance. Is it compassion I feel? Do I find him relatable? How dreadful. It's possible he's strategically trying to elicit sympathy. Maybe he heard about my dramatic exit from Ladestar. Or maybe he's just alluding to the way my sire left me here to fend for myself. It is only God who... Oh, God damn it. It is only God who will never lead you astray. That's why I find your act so frustrating, Julia. You're so close to getting it, but you choose sin instead. There's the Benoit Segal I know. Almost had me fooled. Let's get back on track. What about Langley's disappearance from the city? Her path was a road to perdition. Wherever she ended up, I doubt she's too happy about it. She had plans for the future of this city. Wanted to make it her ultimate artwork. She was always the vain one. And of course, you are completely sure you have nothing to do with her disappearance. Please don't tell me you're getting at what I think you're getting at. Everybody says you're acting like you're trying to repent for something ever since her vanishing act. And you've got a motive. Of course I'm getting at what you think I'm getting at. Benoit shakes his head. You really have the devil in your heart, Julia. Always testing me. Just asking what everyone's thinking. Are they now? Listen, I'm familiar with a lot of the insults attached to my name in the city. Those aren't exactly compatible with the image of a ruthless killer. Killer, huh? Now that's interesting. I haven't said anything about killing. Oh, bullshit, Julie, you know what. He scrubs his hands over his forehead and collects himself before responding. Stop picking apart every word I say in this completely unpleasant way. Here's a statement if you really want one, Ms. Hercule Poirot. I actually know who that person is. I do believe Sophie, the way I knew her, has met her end. Even if she's still walking this earth, she wouldn't come back here as the same prideful aristocrat. She'd have to undergo a spiritual rebirth. Someone has reminded her of her place. Her former friends talk of her in hushed voices. Even that servant play toy of hers went missing. No more Camarilla parties. She's done for. Whatever happened to her, I don't know. I swear on Jesus and his scandals, I had nothing to do with it. But yes, I'm still here and she's not. And it's not a reason to gloat, but to be more humble. I received a sign from God telling me to re-examine all the unfortunate ways I still resemble Sophie Langley. And I listened. I rejected the pride I shared with her. I renewed my vows to God, recommitted to preaching his greatness. I mean, this is why we're here. This is why we're having this conversation in the first place. Right now, when I think of Langley's influence on my life, I'm grateful because she was a sign that got me here. And, if God wills it, maybe one day you'll look at her the same way, Julia. Mental note, whenever he circles back to this preachy tone, it's time to intervene. All right. If it makes you feel any better, I think that the only way a wimp like you could have hurt her was by boring her to death with Bible quotes. Now then, quid pro quo, tit for tat. You were saying people still talk about me? I was curious if... Oh, look who's finally here! Stalling for time worked. Father Leonard rushes in our direction, carrying a folder of documents under his arm. I assume it's the one I came here for. Father Leonard? Oh no, I forgot. This is a different guy. This is some handsome young man. I forgot. The other guy either disappeared or he took over or he's working under him. I forgot. I forget. I say handsome. I'm so bad. Christ be praised, Julia. Yesterday I was told this is how priests greet their parishioners in Eastern Europe. Forever and ever, amen. Actually, I think we said each other's lines. Never mind. Another long night, isn't it? Taking a toll on you. No need to worry. These days I sleep a few hours a day. Short naps take care of the rest. And there's always work to be done. I apologize for being late. At least I managed to get here before you and Benoit went for each other's throats. Good. I was getting worried. Well, who do you take me for, Father? He takes you for a total bozo who's about as effective at converting people as a documentary about pedophilia in the Catholic Church. He's just too kind to say it out loud. Ouch. Hear what I have to deal with, Father? But don't worry, we'll make a saint of her yet. Forget saint. For now, I'd settle for an adult in the room. You do remember he's at least 70 years older than I am, right? As far as I'm concerned, growing up has far less to do with age than with the conditions of our formative years. Here. He gives me a folder he was carrying with him, and I pass him the reports I wrote earlier tonight. Among kindred, it is common knowledge that the Catholic Church is one of the Lasombra's greatest assets. Hell, it might... she just curses. Hell, it might even be one of the main reasons the Camarilla is slowly warming up to the clan. We are technologically impaired, and as such, woefully unprepared to face the challenges of communicating in the 21st century. Hard to handle advanced encryption when you can't even unlock a smartphone. This is where the Vatican connections enter the picture. A web of priests scattered all around the world exchange our dispatches between each other, making sure they all reach their destinations in total secrecy. I was told not everyone in the Holy See is friendly to our kind, but the most shrewd and talented usually are. You could say they're like the mortal Camarilla, but better than any intelligence agency. Remember what happened to John Paul I when he attempted to uncover the workings of the Institute for the Works of Religion? Death after 33 days of papacy. Rumors of CIA and Masonic involvement. Not that Father Leonard has anything to do with any of this. For a Catholic priest, he's all right. He'd probably have made me stay a believer a few years longer than I did, had I known him as a teenager. Leonard is intelligent, kind, helpful towards his parishioners, treats his superiors with a healthy dose of skepticism, and is not involved in any sort of political church games. Shocking. Not that I know any priests that are in church games, but yeah. Well, at least not beyond helping me contact my bosses in Chicago every other night or so. He knows about the Kindred, and he knows about the Second Inquisition. He opted to avoid the latter in order to keep the former from oppression, because according to him, it's the right thing to do. The Second Inquisition, the philosophy of the War on Terror, applied to us Kindred. Somewhere along the way, some deep state assholes decided the way to handle the existence of vampires was to treat us as terrorists. Yet the agents waging these operations against us often have no idea what the hell is going on, because some intra-agency collaboration created to hunt us doesn't tell anyone anything unless it's need to know. Among Kindred, the term is most often abbreviated to SI. C. I know there's got to be something wrong with him, some selfish motivation maybe, and I haven't nailed it down yet, but it doesn't feel like he's making an effort to hide it, so I'm giving him a pass. By the way, I hope you don't mind, I finally took the liberty of asking how your parents are doing. Thank you, Father, but you shouldn't have. Not a problem. A priest at St. Stanislaus Kostka is a good friend. He says your parents started showing up every Sunday again. Front rows. Your father's looking better and better. Makes me feel nothing, but I still give him a token nod and a grateful smile. Thank you, Father Leonard. Now, if you excuse me, the sunrise is almost here. Yes, be careful and God bless you. Amen. Goodbye, Julia. I'll let you off the hook this time, but next time, you won't be so lucky, all right? Sure, just one more thing on my never-ending list of events I'm not looking forward to. I want never-ending to be hyphenized. Or hyphen. I don't think hyphenized is a word. Hyphen. I just like making up words sometimes. But hyphen. It would look much better. Dare I say sexier if hyphened. Okay, anyway. Guess it's time to call it a night. Alright, and we're going to call it a night here, folks. Who's she saying I'm home to? Is it to someone? Is it to herself? We'll find out next time, folks. I mean, you probably can have a really strong, educated guess, folks, as to who she's saying I'm home to. But anyway, this has been DarkElf85 on YouTube, or HektontheMage here on PSN, and this has once again been Vampire the Masquerade, Shadows of New York. Hopefully, I'll get things updated on YouTube tomorrow. If anything, while distracting myself with cleaning, ideally cleaning, not distracting myself from cleaning, because I need to get things done. I got like mostly everything out of the drawers I'm going to give to one of my colleagues, but the funny thing is, so they're not flies. There's some other type of fly, if that makes sense. They're not like this typical fly. So Korea has like this one type of fly, and I have them. Maybe they're disappearing now. Maybe it's because of the rain. But I had them in my bathroom and in my apartment since like last winter time. It was ridiculous. But like it's a type of fly, but it isn't a normal fly that they have in Korea. And they build up like in drawers. They just die in there. So in my, and I'm like, I mean, one could argue that's so gross, Dark. You should clean that out. You know how often they fucking die in there? I'm not cleaning that shit out. So yeah, there's like tons and tons of them in there. I'm almost done with clearing out the crap. Okay, let me rephrase that. I'm almost done with clearing out the crap in one of the drawers. I still have one left to go in that four drawer set. The other 4 drawer set I haven't actually touched. So, but I'm gonna like mostly all the stuff there. I still have the books. I don't know if any of my colleagues want any of those books. I'm probably gonna leave those on the sofas. That'll be what I'll put them in. I've got books on my main desk and on one of my cabinets, and I'll just put them all out on um, on the sofa so that if anyone wants to take them when they come in to stop by for things, they can. And then at the end, before I leave, during the last week, I'll just toss everything out. I don't think I want any of the other books. I already shipped the books that I wanted. And honestly, I just cannot. I mean, if worse comes, because there's going to be different versions of those books if I use any of them in the USA, depending on what job I have, or as a reference guide. And there would be a different copy. But I mean, I took the ones that I really wanted. I mean, there's a couple more that I might take, but I've got majority of them, so I'm cool. And there's a lot of things on the internet. I know of different websites and places that are good for things, so it's fine. But yeah, I gotta get all that to distract me from tomorrow night. And if the weather is nice to me, I'll actually be able to get a good night's rest tonight. Unlike last night, like seriously, I woke up like at 3:34, kind of went back to a awkward not sleep but sleeping because my CPAP machine told me I had slept. But it's like the same type of sleep when I'm on an airplane, like going back to the USA, and vice versa, long distance traveling, where I'm in a pseudo like sleep state but not really deep sleep. So I guess it's like early stages of sleep, I guess, where I do rest, although when I'm in an airplane I'm not using my CPAP because I'm sorry, maybe if I was in first class, but if I were in first class I probably wouldn't still because I don't want to carry that crap with me, but you actually can lay down in first class, so I probably would then. Yeah, I like have a sleep mask on, so I don't know if I fall asleep or not. I can't tell because darkness. But yeah, I didn't go to like I woke up like around 3:30. Like I end up kind of pseudo sleeping around 4, and I'm just like I couldn't go back to sleep until I didn't. According to my CPAP machine, I had at least like 6 hours ish, or a little bit over 6 hours of sleep. So I'm like, kind of would like to have more tonight for tomorrow. But maybe the adrenaline will run. I have no effing idea. But yeah, I'll let you all know come Friday what that experience was like for the interview. I hope you all have a very good rest of the day, night, or anywhere in between. Stay safe out there, folks. And goodbye. I was going to say as will I, but I don't want to say that. I'm not important. No, but because it's rainy season here, so yeah. I mean, it was just gray and humid. Oh gosh, it's so humid. But it said it was supposed to rain. Then it had a lower chance of rain. No, it did rain because I remember it started raining when I was finishing up grocery shopping, and then luckily it kind of stopped as I was getting some last bit of stuff from a bakery, and then I didn't really need the umbrella out. But yeah. Oh, I forgot to say. Oh my gosh, I forgot. I got my glasses. Not that you can see, but I got my 3 pairs: my work glasses, my casual glasses, so professional, casual, and my sunglasses. And I did buy 2 extra frames. I ended up bought a half rimless pair of glasses, which I didn't. That was the more expensive one. He gave me a deal on that. That was like around. I mean, I say about $120, but it was actually it's less in USD. But it was like $1 to $20,000. He gave me a discount to $95,000, and then the other pair. He must have given me a discount because it was like mono. It was like 10,000. Like the plastic frames are so cheap. So I bought another plastic frame pair cheap, And I'm thinking it'd be good if I eventually use those as sunglasses, because I do wear those. I do wear sunglasses a lot, like during the day when it's shiny out. So it'd be nice to not have them dirty on the inside. I mean, mainly when you have the plastic, the ones with the plastic have like the plastic nose holders. The only problem with plastic pairs is that they like to slip off your face when it's sweaty, whereas the traditional glasses with like the bridge for your nose or whatever those pieces are called, because even though I wear glasses, I don't know what they're called. They don't slip as much if they're like metal or maybe semi-plastic on the side. But yeah, I got my glasses and I got some extra frames, and because I spent so much money with the place, he gave me some extra stuff. He didn't give me any spray bottles though, which is fine because that involves having to carry liquids, and I'm like, I don't want to do that on the airplane. But I have a lot of nice new glass cases and cleaning and like cloths for cleaning. I'm like, yay, got my glasses. I'm gonna wear my nice new one, my professional ones for my interviews, like tomorrow night. Oh my gosh. Okay, I'll try not to freak out about it, folks. But yeah, have a good rest. Yeah, take care, everyone, and goodbye.